before he died of a painful, Ward Bond did awful things to himself. American actor Ward Bond made a lot of movies, and his contributions to the business are still remembered today, many years after he died. Wardell Edwin Bond was born in Benkelman, Nebraska on April 9, 1903. He grew up in Denver, Colorado, and went to school at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. Bond was a very good athlete who did especially well in football and made the USC Trojans football team. Bond became friends with John Wayne while he was at USC and kept in touch with him for life, another student who would become famous in Hollywood. This Bond would play a big role in both men's jobs in the entertainment business. Ward Bond's arrival in Hollywood was a happy accident. He hadn't really wanted to be an actress at first. But fate stepped in when a friend at USC told him and Wayne that they could easily make money by having extra parts in movies. Because they were naturally athletic and had big bodies, they were perfect for big parts. Bond quickly went from small, uncredited parts to bigger ones, thanks to his towering height and commanding screen personality, which caught the attention of directors. In his early years in Hollywood, James Bond worked hard and didn't give up. During the 1930s, he was in many movies and often played tough, big roles like cowboys, police officers, or soldiers. By working with director John Ford, he made a big step forward, one of the most important American directors of all time. Bond became a regular player in Ford's movies, and he was in classics like Stagecoach, 1939, The Grapes of Wrath, 1940, and Drums Along the Mohawk, 1939. Bond became known as a versatile and reliable character player, thanks to Ford's movies. As the 1940s went on, Ward Bond kept adding to his list of movies, making him one of the most reliable character players in Hollywood. He played many parts that were typical of the average American man: tough, loyal, and stoic. In The Grapes of Wrath, Bond played a strict deputy sheriff, which showed how good he was at playing powerful people. Bond played a tough Navy officer named Boats Mulcahy in the 1945 drama They Were Expendable, which was set during World War II by John Ford, showing off his range even more. Bond, however, became a well-known actor thanks to his part in It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Bond made small-town America seem warmer and more real by playing Burt, the nice and loyal police officer. Even though it was a small part, his acting made an impact on viewers and helped the movie become a classic. Bond was in more than 200 movies over the course of his career, an amazing accomplishment that showed how hard he worked and how much he loved playing. He worked with John Ford a lot more, and he was in many of his most famous movies, such as Ford Apache, 1948, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, 1949, and The Quiet Man, 1952. Bond's tough, no-nonsense image made him perfect for westerns, which he did very well in. Bond also played the important part of Reverend Captain Samuel Johnson Clayton in John Ford's 1956 movie The Searchers. During this movie, Bond played a religious leader and police officer in the American West. He brought a strong sense of right and wrong to a story about revenge and forgiveness. Bond was able to get to the heart of morals, justice, and duty issues in a way that really affected people because of how complicated the character was. Ward Bond was best known for his work in movies, but he also became a TV star, living on through his work there. In 1957, Bond was hired to play the lead part of Major Seth Adams on the TV show Wagon Train. The Western show about a group of pioneers moving across the American frontier was a huge hit and ran for 8 years. Bond played Major Adams, a rough but fair wagon master, garnered him a lot of praise and made TV viewers like him. At the time, Wagon Train was one of the most famous shows, and Bond's performance was a big part of that. He brought the same strength, charm, and gravitas to TV as he did in movies, showing that his acting skills were not limited to movies. Bond stayed with the show until he died in 1960. He left behind a lot of great movies and TV shows. Ward Bond's personal life was just as interesting as his work life. Bond was a larger-than-life character outside of movies, where he was known for his loud attitude and strong conservative views. In Hollywood, his friendship with John Wayne was famous, and the two men stayed close their whole lives. They respected and got along with each other, and they often worked on movies together. Their relationship was more like that of brothers, and Wayne was very sad when Bond died. People often talked about Bond's political views because he was a well-known member of the conservative Motion Picture Alliance for the preservation of American ideas. He strongly backed Hollywood's attempts to fight communism, which put him at odds with some of his peers during the McCarthy era. No matter what, Bond was still loved by his friends and co-workers, who knew him for being reliable and having a big personality. He was married twice. He married Doris Childs in 1936 and split up with her in 1944. In the John Ford Stock Company with Harry Carey Jr., Ben Johnson, and John Wayne, he drank a lot and was single for 10 years. Then he married Mary Lou May, who was John Wayne's business manager's secretary. They stayed together until he passed away. There was a football game in Dallas between Southern Methodist University and Texas A&M. Ward Bond was there to watch it. The game was tied at the end. Ward Bond told his wife about the story. Spend time with each other. He is always thankful for what his wife has done for him and says that their love is fate. I think his marriage to Mary Lou might have made his death and sadness very different. By the time Ward Bond had a heart attack, he was very upset. The story of what happened between them has not been made public. His wife hasn't told anyone about it. No matter how tough he seems, by the late 1950s, Ward Bond's health was getting worse. He smoked a lot and had heart problems all the time, which explains why he's had a lot of trouble and stress in his life. Bond had a major heart attack while still working on Wagon Train in 1960. He died suddenly on November 5, 1960, at the age of 57. Fans and co-workers were shocked by his death, especially John Wayne, who gave a moving speech at Bond's wake. Many people in Hollywood agreed with Wayne when he said that Bond was one of the best guys he had ever known. Ward Bond left behind a quiet but obvious impact on Hollywood. Even though he was often cast in supporting parts, he gave every character he played depth, authenticity, and charm. Old movies he was in, like The Searchers, 1956, in which he played Reverend Captain Samuel Johnson Clayton, is thought to be some of the best character acting in American movies. His rough, no-nonsense roles paved the way for many players who came after him in the Western genre. In addition to his work in movies, Bond's success on TV, especially with Wagon Train, made it easier for other stars to switch between film and TV. He was a very versatile talent because he could easily switch between different types of media. Many years after he died, Ward Bond's services to movies and TV shows are still praised. He was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame after his death, which shows how much of an effect he had on the entertainment business. Classic movie fans and people who are just starting to watch movies still like and watch his movies, making sure that his influence lives on. In honor of Ward Bond's work, the strong, dependable characters he played were seen as a reflection of the values of his time, such as honor, loyalty, and toughness. His close relationships with John Wayne, John Ford, and other stars added to his reputation as a true Hollywood giant. Ward Bond was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame after his death in honor of his work, honoring the important things he did for the show business. People still think of James Bond as a huge star in movies and TV shows, and his work continues to affect Western and action actors and filmmakers. Ward Bond's acts, whether as a rough cowboy, a strict military officer, or a caring priest, show how talented he was and how much he changed American entertainment.